Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining. We're going to have some great conversations today about burnout. Thank you for being here.
You want to give us a quick of the chart of the date, and you're going to get the responses?
Nice to see you.
What call it every month? What?
Oh.
Hi.
Oh.
Welcome. Thanks for being here. We're excited today. We're gonna action-packed webinar. Hope everybody will learn a lot.
Thank you, Meira.
Sure. Thank you. And if you have anything specific you want me to be discussing, please feel free. Perfect. We're gonna wait. I think a number of people coming, so we'll give them time.
Like, is Zoom burnout a thing? Can we talk about that? Ironic.
I think I'm the only person that likes being on Zoom. I'm like on Zoom all day, and I don't even mind. I'm just used to it. So
You're natural. You're definitely light up.
okay.
You bring a lot of energy
Everyone entertained
to Zoom calls.
And I'll try.
If people had more Zoom calls with you, they'd experience less burnout.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, good. Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you everybody for being here. We'll just wait another minute or so. I know a lot of people are coming, but again, if anyone has anything specific, Diane just messaged me. She has an upcoming webinar, so hopefully we could maybe collaborate a bit, give each other pointers. That's exciting. Thank you, thank you, Zeb, for being here. It's nice to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you.
And yeah, feel free everyone to turn on your screens. I don't care if you're, I always say I don't care if you're driving, folding laundry, whatever people do on a Zoom. It's fine. The amount of things that I've done has been honestly impressive. People would see actually things that go on behind the scenes, but really welcome. Hi, Shelly. How are you? Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sure. Where does everyone live? I don't even know. Shelly, where do you live?
Skokie.
Oh, okay. I'm actually in Illinois right now also.
Oh, where?
Yeah, I'm in Ingleside, probably nowhere it's like I'm in a camp, working in a camp. So
Which camp?
I'm right now working in Camp McGill, Midwest. I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh yeah, my daughter years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, that's funny. That's funny. I'll just show one of my campers. Been here for a long time. Yeah, so in Illinois right now, and then getting back to Portland, Washington, all these good spaces. So, okay. So I guess let's get started. And as people come in, they'll just join in and get to work, and we'll get to work now. Okay. So, it's funny. Almost 20 years ago, I committed to working in a job. I'm actually going to mute. Let's mute everybody. Okay, so I committed myself in a job in a nonprofit space, and I've had a lot of ups and downs. Okay, so there's been days where I've been like excited, I've had exhilarated, and then there's been days that I've had like definitely maybe when people want to use the word burnout, but I felt like almost resentful, like days that I didn't want to I wasn't excited to just get to work. It wasn't every single day I was just like filled with this like joy. Time that I felt burnt out, I had the tools to get me out of that state, and by doing so, I'm able to play the long game. So my name is Meira Spivak, and I will start sharing slides. We're using a lot of slides today, and we're going to also make this interactive. So I do work full time in the nonprofit space. I work for an organization called NCSY, and I primarily focus on management, leadership, fundraising, really in that sphere. I have a business. I also help really business owners and decision makers, primarily focusing in the nonprofit space, but really all over to, help make decisions to reach goals quickly, to like get to the place where they want to be, and just really help them take the steps to get there. Also, just a fun fact, I'm a trained facilitator in a method of innovation called S.I.T, Systematic Inventive Thinking, and I help people. I actually could train people how to innovate on demand so they don't have no more problems anymore. Every challenge is an opportunity. And it's like really, I'm not going to be talking about that today. I've done other workshops on that. But it's just, just a nice thing about like some of the skills that I have and I bring to the table. But my passion really does lie in professional development workshops and helping people to grow and accomplish in their job. And, I'm really excited. So what are we going to accomplish today? Okay. So we are going to, first, you're actually going to take a burnout assessment. Okay. We're going to do that together shortly. And you're going to see where you stand. I'm going to share with you about 3 different types of burnout and you might which one possibly applies to you. I'm going to share ideas for both employees and managers to use to help overcome burnout. So if that's what we accomplished today, would you feel good about that? Does that sound good in our webinar? Okay, great. So also, besides for that, I'm also going to share a tool with you that actually works amazing, really, for management to help support their employees without doing a huge overall in their company. And I'm going to share with you also how I can help you in the process. So it doesn't matter if you're feeling like slightly burned out, if you're like deep end, it doesn't really matter where you are right now. But I'm going to, I really hope there's something for everybody to gain today. And I do want you to know that, again, I do relate and to this process because no matter where you are, like, I don't know exactly what everyone's going through. But I've been, when you're in a job for 20 years or so, like there's definitely like highs and lows. Like I've gone through a lot of the period. So it doesn't matter like where you're in, like, I know that it's hard. I also actually run a camp of my own and, being in recruitment and it's like sales and it's draining, you're working so hard on someone to close a deal. And then at the last minute they pull out or, you put all this effort into this one project and then it's hard. It's hard to keep doing the same things day in and day out. And even if your job changes a little bit, like I do want you to know that I know it's hard and I'm not anything I say. I'm like, oh, just do this. Like it is hard. It's like, it's something and it impacts all of us differently. But I'm here. I'm going to take you on a journey today and we're going to get real. We're going to hopefully get a little vulnerable. If that's okay. Here, I'll try to create a safe space for you. And then we're going to create some process and some real change. So are we ready to go? Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to share with you a burnout quiz. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to take out a paper. There's going to be 2 slides. Okay, this is all private and confidential for you. I'm not going to ask you to share where you score at the end, but you'll see there's like obviously a sliding scale of like, I don't know, this is not me at all, or like this is me every moment, right? Most of you will fall somewhere in the middle probably, and some things will be like, wow, this is like, I didn't realize, but yeah, this is an issue. So I'm going to give you a minute, just take out a paper. What you're going to do is you're going to just, when you write down your scores, at the end, we're going to add up all your, so if the first one, let's say, if you have a 1 and then a 1 and then a 1, that would add up to 3. Okay. So we're going to add up, you're going to rate yourself. I'm going to give you a moment or two. Again, so if I feel run down and drained of physical, emotional energy, if that's something you're feeling like, all the time, that's a 5. If you're like, I'm literally like jumping out of my seat, dying to go to work every day, that would be a 1. Okay. So again, we'll probably fall somewhere in the middle. After the first 8 questions, there's another 7. I'm going to switch the screen. I'll give you like a minute or 2 to fill this out. And I guess when you're ready, you could put on the reaction, the thumbs up button, and some time to do that. For those of you who just joined, we're in a burnout quiz. So we're going to score ourselves and not share this publicly. So you can get out a pen and just try to take notes. Okay, one person's done with the first. Okay, we'll wait for a few more hands up or thumbs up. Okay, I'm going to give you about 10 more seconds. Okay, I'm going to switch unless anybody screams out. Okay, I'm going to switch to the next screen. This is 9 through 15. Once you finish all of yours, you're going to want to add up your points. Again, you do not have to share this. And then just give me a thumbs up when you've added your numbers.
Hey, Meira, Dev, can you go back to the slide again before you
Totally.
remove it?
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to give another minute or so on this one, and then I'm going to go back. I know it's hard. I was trying to get it all on one screen, but it's hard for everyone to be able to read it then. So we do this in person. A lot of times when I come into companies, so we obviously take it together. I mean, individual, but you're looking at a paper, so it's obviously easier. But I will go back in about a minute. So again, if you just joined, we're doing a burnout assessment here, and we're going to score ourselves. So these are the last 7 questions, and I'm going to go back to the first part in another 30 seconds. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the first one. Sorry for everybody who's done. Going down and drains of physical and emotional energy. I have negative thoughts about my job. I'm harder and less sympathetic with people than perhaps they deserve. I'm easily irritated by small problems or by my coworkers. I feel misunderstood or unappreciated by my coworkers. I feel uninspired by my department's work. I'm doubtful of leadership's integrity or ability to lead. I feel under an unpleasant level of pressure to succeed. I'm going to go to the next slide and we'll hear. I feel I'm not getting what I want out of my job. I feel that I'm in the wrong organization or profession. I'm frustrated with parts of my job. I feel that organizational politics and bureaucracy frustrate my ability to do a good job. I feel that there is more work to do than I practically have the ability to do. I feel that I do not have time to do many of the things that are important in doing a quality job. And I also consider the company's decision making. And as I read these, it's like so many of these resonate point or another. Maybe it's not all at once, but maybe I have felt these things over the years. So I'm going to go to the next slide. I'm going to share the assessment scores, and you'll see where you fall. Okay, so 15 to 18, you're good to go. Don't even think about this. Okay. 19 to 32, a little bit. You should monitor. Okay. Once you're past like the 33 mark, you're at risk for burnout. It sounds like you're at risk for like dropping out. At this point, I want to really I would say like be a little bit extra, err on the side of caution. Okay. If you feel like you need a little bit more time off, take that time for yourself. And we're going to discuss a lot more about what this means. Anybody here want to share, and this is only obviously if anybody feels comfortable, share where they are, were they surprised at the results, or this kind of what they were expecting? Maybe you don't share the number. Anyone feel comfortable sharing how this went for them? Okay.
Sure, this is.
Please.
Oh, 39. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want us to speak our answers or chat them?
Yeah, if you want to. I'm going to give you a space later to share more, like completely anonymously. But if you have any reflections you want to share, please.
Quick reflection. Yeah, go ahead. So.
I was close to you, John. I was 41, and it was interesting. I own my own business. It's a medical practice, and I'm actually leaving it to start a new business. So it was very interesting to see how much I feel burnt out by the business I'm leaving, that I'm doing the appropriate thing. And it would be totally different about this new enterprise I'm doing.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you. Is that what you sharing before?
Sure. I actually scored a lot lower. I was more at like the 19 mark.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be under, but I feel that I'm a high energy. Meira and I, we've worked together. Some of my frustrations. I'm finding myself quite positive, and energetic and eager, but small concerns about, the effectiveness of the work or, people I work with, things like that.
Yeah, and again, like there's not always an easy answer, right? Like, oh, if only my boss would disappear, it would be great, right? Like, so we can't always get rid of the problems, but even just, again, just being aware of this is going to be the first step to helping you. But we're going to get really into the nitty gritty and understand a lot more. But if anyone here did fall in like a high range, then obviously please schedule a meeting with your manager and start to discuss these challenges, because this is really this is serious. It's your mental health. It's your life. And we all deserve to be happy. But we all want to be happy. So please take that into your own hands. Okay, so let's go on to burnout. So, the definition of burnout: exhaustion of physical or emotional strength or motivation, usually because of prolonged stress or frustration. Now, again, we throw around this word. It's like, oh, we're all burnt out. Everyone's burnt out. We say it all the time. You can be burnt out of your housework. Honestly, people are we throw it around like everyone's burnt out. But what I want to do is, there might be an area that you feel in your company, your organization, wherever you work, that is really an area that's the most frustrating for you. And I want to keep this anonymous. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If you can go, everyone, if you could open up another tab, or even on your phone, there's something called Slido. You go to slido.com. There's a QR code on the screen. So either you could take a picture and go on it on your phone, or you could open up another tab on your computer. It's going to ask you for a code, and I'll give you a few minutes. That's the code to go on. It's 348-7708. And the is I think some of us are familiar with each other. Not everyone feels comfortable sharing private information, and you might not know who they're speaking about. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to read that again, because I'm going to close this slide for a minute. It's 348-7708 on slido.com. I'm going to stop sharing for a second, and now I'm going to actually share a different screen. Okay, so everyone should be looking at this screen on their phone or on their tab. This is completely, I'm very psychological safety. If you're familiar with the term, it's a feeling that you get that you're safe to speak up for good or for bad. So if you have a moment, thank you, to start sharing. I want to have a little bit of a anonymous conversation where people feel safe to share the things that are frustrating them, of why they feel maybe a little bit burnt out. If they're not addressed, what these areas really could lead to burnout. So let's start. Okay, taking care of others all the time when the nature of the work is that it takes care of me. Wow. Yeah, that's really hard, right? So I'm not sure who's writing this, but for someone like you, this, we're going to talk obviously about self-care, but this is going to be crucial for you, because we can't give if we feel empty, right? There's nothing left. And this is something that this is going to be super important. I'm so glad you're here. It's really, really hard. We're just giving and giving. So thank you. A totally incompetent boss. Yes, this is why this is anonymous. So thank you for those, this is a big problem. I mean, I work with a lot of people. A lot of people are really incompetent. So the struggle is real, okay? And I understand that. And some of it's I like my boss in some areas, but he's not, or she's not providing what I really need in or other areas, or they get this, but they don't, it's hard when you have this boss that you're not relating to, they're not understanding you. Wow, this is so fast. I own my own business, but I hate sales. Okay, please, I don't know who you are. Please reach out to me if you're familiar with anybody familiar with the book, Who Not How. Let's start talking about who we're going to hire to get that off your plate, because if you hate sales, you're going to be burned out in no time. So either we're going to get you somebody who's going to help you in your business, or you're going to be just miserable, right? If you have a business that involves sales and you don't want to do sales, let's get you someone who wants to do sales. You think you can't afford it? Well, this way you for sure can't afford it. It's done in no time. Okay, so please send me a DM. Again, Meira Spivak at gmail.com. Totally, let's set up a time to talk. The work seems like it's never ending. It does, and especially it's depending on what your job is, but a lot of it is the same. Even if you start something or you're filling out reports, and there's just more, right? There's always more and more. And how do we face that? How do we start looking at our job as something, that does have little projects? I know for myself, projects, but jobs that never end. I start getting almost lethargic. After a while, I'm I don't want to do this anymore. I like doing short things and finishing. And certain jobs, I don't know if you're familiar, I've also done workshops on the working genius model, if anyone's familiar with that, how each of us are better at different types of work than others. And it's a real thing. Like you could be doing the wrong work for you. So again, please be in touch. There are just so many different workshops. I'm really passionate about this, but it might seem like it's never ending because you're possibly in the wrong role. So you're doing some things that are great for you, but could be others are not the best fit. Building from the ground up, concerns about mission impact. Yeah, this is real. So some people are startups. Maybe you're in a job where you're not even in alignment with the mission where you're working, and they're going somewhere maybe you didn't think. Maybe they've switched routes. Maybe they're getting a little bit of incompetency, decision. They're not able to make decisions, and you're in this line of work. We're going to talk about what to do when these things happen. So thank you for joining us. We're going to get to this also. Implementing systems and processes that are consistently undermined by the admin team, even after confirmation and agreement as the importance and benefits of the systems and processes. How frustrating is it when you think you have to go ahead to do something, and then after you implement and you spend all this time, and then someone's like, no, I don't think we're going to do that. And you're like, no, but you really discussed this and you said that this was important, and now you're taking the work that time on, especially for me, someone who hates wasting time is like my biggest pet peeve. And now someone is going to come and like just undermine all the work that I did. That's so frustrating. We're going to talk about having real conversations that are super focused to get what we want. So we'll talk about that too. Again, some of this might need extra calls, but please reach out to me again after Meira Spivak at Gmail. Please. Lack of training. That's really challenging. A lot of jobs, you're just not trained enough. They just throw you in there and they're like, do it. And they're like, they think they do a training that's like a fun thing. And then, someone's like, oh, I'll model a call for you and you're on your own and sink or swim. And that's hard. Okay. I need a business coach who can guide me because I'm doing this all alone. Okay. Well, that is something I definitely can help you with. So please reach out to me. But this is like, it's hard. And if you're on your own and you're all over the place, like, you're not going to make it. And again, the whole point of this is that we're in this for the long run. Like I work in nonprofit work. I don't want to leave that. I want to I don't want to be burnt out because I want to be in this line of work. I also, you know what I mean? Like if we're even slightly feeling like this is endless, like my days, like my eyes are glazing over, like my boss isn't understanding. This is, sometimes obviously we have to get out, right? Like divorce is inevitable sometimes, but we want to try to make it work if we can. So thank you for sharing. Let's give another 30 seconds if anybody wants to write anything else. Then we're going to go back to the slides. Okay, I'm going to check. Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's start with burnout. I'm going to ask you a question, okay? What do you think a burnout person looks like? Put in the chat, shout it out, call it out. That's fine. Oh, I see 2 new messages here. Okay, great. Yeah, please put it in the chat. What does a burnt out person look like? If you had to identify a burnt out person, how would you know that they were burnt out by looking at them? Slumped over, eyes glazed. Whoa, okay. Eyes glazing, staring into space, exhausted, not smiling, tired. Yes, all the time. Thank you. Just walking down, like, what am I doing here? Like, how many visited the coffee station?
Right. So anything new would be in
I'm gonna try to mute everybody here. John, if you want to help with muting for a minute. Depressed, frazzled. Yes, this is everyone. But you know what? The funny thing is, when we all scored, right, like a burnt out person really just looks like us. You might be picturing someone that's overwhelmed, but really we might just be looking in the mirror. Like sometimes the way a burnout person looks is me, right? When I'm the way, not that there's a certain thing, like we know if the guy looks like, or the lady's just like this and she's staring into space, we must be burnt out. Like if we wonder how a burnout person looks, we often just needs to look in the mirror and see. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to teach you, I'm going to share some thoughts. Melody Wilding is really like a key person that talks a lot about burnout. I'm going to share some of her work right now. Give credit where credit is due. Okay, so let's go on. Okay, so there's 3 types of burnout. Okay, overload burnout, under challenged burnout, and neglect burnout. These are the main 3 types. there's other ones. I really think these are the three key ones. And I think you'll see which ones relate to you. Okay. So what is overload burnout? And it occurs when you work harder and more frantically to achieve success, often to the detriment of your health and your personal life. Okay, so this type of burnout often impacts like highly dedicated employees. They want to work at this like unsustainable pace and they start to drive themselves a little bit crazy. Okay, they might be impacting their own health, they might be impacting their personal life. This is a very common form, and it's very familiar. What's funny about this is the way people with overload burnout tend to cope is they cope by talking about like and complaining about how burnt out they are. So, and what they do is they just like, okay, I'm going to fix this. They fix it. They're going to make systems to fix the burnout. And then they're more overwhelmed with all the systems they have in place to fix the burnout that they're more burnout, that they're just burnt out even more. So it's like a funny cycle that the people that are like super competent are a lot of times in this case, they just want to do perfection, success. And then they're like starting to create a cycle for themselves by creating systems to avoid the burnout. And then they have more systems they have to keep up with. And it's kind of driving everyone crazy. So signs out for if you have overload burnout, okay, you maybe start to overlook your own needs in your own life, your own personal life. They start to be part of the back burner. You're investing more that is healthy in your career, or possibly, and hopefully not, you actually endanger your well-being to achieve your goals. If any of that relates to you, you might have what we call overload burnout. Okay. This is, again, the most familiar. Some of your head, this is me. I give too much. I'm like, I don't have personal time. Like I'm just all over the place. This might be you. Okay. Next kind. It's called under-challenged burnout. And this occurs when you're doing too little. It's actually the opposite of overload, and it's another type of burnout. And it occurs when you're bored and you're not stimulated by your job. Like you start to feel unmotivated. Okay. I know some people have addressed this before. It could be because maybe you're not, it could be you're not feeling the mission. It could be you're just not getting the weight. It's not challenging enough. You might feel underappreciated and you become frustrated because your goal, like it lacks growth opportunities. You're not growing in your job. You're looking for more. You're not getting what you need. There's not enough room for growth in your company, right? This is very common. A lot of, especially as I work at obviously nonprofits, it's very common because there's only so much room at the top. But any company is like that. There's always going to be more people at the bottom, and it's like a pyramid, right? That's always hard. And sometimes we just don't have meaningful connection with our coworkers, with our bosses, and we feel like almost lethargic. And what's interesting is the way people with under-challenged burnout work, and really how it impacts them is how they cope with avoidance. And they start distracting themselves and telling themselves, I'm not gonna think about it. That's how people with under-challenged burnout will sometimes cope. Just stop it. Just not think about it. I'm depressed right now. I'm not going to think about it. And that's obviously not necessarily the best way to cope with it. And if signs to watch out for. So let's say you're not sure if this is you. Again, you really need assignments that are more challenging. You're feeling like I'm at the same level as I was before and I've grown and I'm not there yet. If you feel that, you might be under challenged. Okay. Your job is not giving you opportunities to develop your abilities. You might even feel that your current role is actually hampering the ability to advance and develop your talents. So if this is something that resonates with you, you might have under-challenged burnout. And the last one is neglect burnout. And that is resulting from feeling helpless in the face of challenges. And, it occurs when you might not have enough structure in your work. You might find it difficult to keep up with demands. Or you might even be able to feel like you can't even meet expectations. Or have a boss like that's really necessarily there for you. They're kind of absent. And when you need help, they're just like, they come in for a little bit and then they step back out again. And when we have that, we start feeling really frustrated and uncertain. And people with neglect burnout, they actually have this they kind of taught themselves to become helpless. It's like they can't figure out solutions to their own problems. Even when they're available, they just are like, I don't know, I just can't do this. Like they don't feel like they have a team. They don't feel like they have support. And when things don't work out like as they should, people with neglect burnout, they just honestly, They stop trying. And that's very scary. So signs to watch out for if you possibly have neglect burnout is you stop trying when situations don't go as planned. You give up in response to obstacles. Instead of saying, we're going to do this, you're suddenly like, yes, I don't know, this is not even worth trying. And you feel demoralized when you get up in the morning. You're like, I can't believe I have to face another day at work. And, people burn out differently. Like you might have had some of these different feelings at different times. You might have felt overwhelmed, and then you're under challenged, and then you might feel neglect at times also, depending if you're in the same job. But these are real. So if anybody here feels comfortable, just share or type in the chat if they have ever felt any of these types of burnout. It is real, and I just think the more that we are able to share and be there for each other and show, oh, it's not just you. So if anybody is comfortable, feel free to put it in the chat. But I am going to go on. Okay, there is one thing I want to share with you, and this is somewhat related, but this is something that actually helped me in my life in a meaningful way, and I'm going to share that with you. If anyone's familiar with Dr. Sarno, this is like, some people they're not believers in this. It worked for me, so I'm just going to share with you. If anyone here has ever had a time in their life when they started getting neck pain, shoulder pain, like aches for no reason. I one time was picking up I exercise all the time. I'm in good shape. And I was picking up like a tissue from the floor. And I kid you not, my back went out. I literally could not move for like days, like 3 days. I was crawling on the floor to the bathroom. Like I could not move. And I didn't understand why. And eventually it went away. And then it happened again. And finally I was speaking to my sister. I'm like, I don't know why this is going on. I literally can't move. And she ever read the Dr. Sarno book. And I was like, well, what's that? He's like, just read the book. Okay. So I read this book, and the premise of he's not alive anymore, but the premise of Dr. Sarno's work is that actually when there is something emotional that is going on that you are either resentful of or angry at, or maybe it's a person, maybe it's your boss, maybe it's a coworker, maybe someone that you felt like just dumped everything on you, and you're really resentful and really angry, either at them, but you're suppressing those emotional feelings. His theory is that you're going to have physical pain, that your body is going to send you physical pain in order to distract you from dealing with your emotional pain. So if you're really upset about something, and instead of you working on it, you're just like pushing it down, pushing it back, burying it inside, your body's going to start actually sending you physical ailments for no reason. He actually says, if you have a reason, this isn't for you. But if you get things for no reason, like, why is my neck, like, why I can't get rid of it? I can't, my back, my stomach, and then it goes around from body to body part. It is because we're actually not dealing with it. And I, at one point, had, it's funny, part of my innovation training is I actually teach everybody that every challenge is an opportunity. And when I used to get these back pains, I literally was out. I was like not functioning. Now I actually look at it as an opportunity, because as soon as I get a random back pain, I know that I'm really upset about something. So what I do is, and I have this actually with, it wasn't a direct boss of mine, but someone I worked with in my organization that had done something to me that I was really frustrated about. I started getting back pain again. And I'm like, there's something there. I'm like, I knew right away. I'm like, I'm so like resentful. I'm so upset and frustrated with this person that I knew like I had to get over it. And I made a meeting with them, and I said, I just want to share with you the things that are really hurting me. I feel like some of you did was not sensitive, and it's really been hurting me. But it was away. It was gone. The back pain was gone. It's over. So I'm only sharing it with you as a tool. If you're someone who's feeling burnt out or frustrated in your work, it could be obviously a personal thing too. I want you to think, is there anyone that right now I am frustrated with or upset with, or I resent something? Maybe I'm getting too much work. Maybe I'm not getting the raise that I want. Maybe I got whatever that is. Your body's going to keep sending you these like random physical ailments to distract you from dealing with the real emotional pain. And if you choose to deal with the emotional pain, it's going to change. And then if there's no need for these physical sensations. So it's fascinating. If this is something that resonates with you, definitely recommend reading the book. Again, I don't make commission. Okay. So let's talk about ways to address burnout. Okay, so let's say you work in a company, okay, and you're feeling burnout. So the first thing I call is name and notice. Okay, a lot of times we have a challenge and name it. Like, again, I think burnout, everyone has no problem saying I'm burnt out. Like we name it all the time, but really naming that, like, I am feeling, and maybe even naming which one. Like, I'm feeling under challenged. Like, I'm feeling neglected. Like, name what you're feeling. And then I want you to notice negative self-talk. So instead of saying, I need to work all the time to be successful, I want you to say, I need to work smarter, not harder. Instead of telling yourself, I'm totally burnt out, I want you to say to yourself, I feel burnt out now. Let me try to bring myself back by using a few tactics. Instead of saying, I feel like a loser compared to my coworkers. So say to yourself, I try my hardest. It's not a competition. Like, the messaging we send to ourselves completely affects the state of being that we are, and honestly, how successful we are in life. You send a message to yourself of you're a loser, you're a loser. You send a message to yourself of I can't do this without a coach. Let's try something else. I'm gonna get a great coach, and we're gonna rock this, right? Like, reframe the messaging that's going through your head. My boss is incompetent. So let's say your boss is incompetent, okay? Happens. Boss is incompetent, right? So now, like this, my boss is incompetent and he doesn't know what I'm doing, right? He doesn't know what's going on. Wow, I'm in a job that's going to allow me to be in control and do the things that I need, right? Like, try to reframe the word that you're saying. Notice the negative self-talk and try to do this, right? So if you're using like the Dr. Sarno, right? Instead of being like, I'm like a mess, I can't believe this. Like, I don't need your physical symptoms to distract me from my emotional pain. If I'm feeling burnt out, if I'm resentful of my incompetent boss, so let me speak to him. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. The things that you need to do, just get it done, but notice it, name it, and notice it. So I want to talk about investing. We talk about investing. I want you to invest in more self-care. Okay. So when we think about self-care, anybody feel comfortable shouting out, like, what conjures up in your mind? Like, when you're thinking self-care, like, I need to do self-care. Anybody have like some image of themselves? Like, what does it look like with you when you think of self-care? What does that look like to you? I'm going to ask you to put it in the chat or to care to. What does that look like to you? Taking walks. Great. Thank you. Fresh air, going outside, going to the beach, exercise, sleep, meditation, friends, eating well, travel. Good. But these are actually good because, a lot of times it's funny because a lot of times I hear when I ask people about self-care, it's like, I'm going to go on a major, a trip, or I'm going to spend time with all these people. And a lot of times it does, it is things like, or I have to specific people. So a lot of times it's only dependent on others. So good. When we talk about self-care, and it's exactly what you're doing is great. I want you to start thinking about these little things, not big things, little things you could do throughout your day that's going to make a difference. So for some people, it might just be, having that quiet cup of coffee. For some people, it's going exercising, right, balancing your connection, whatever works for you. There is one tool that I would like to share with you that I think is a great idea. If you're really busy and people are always like interrupting you, maybe unless you're in a meeting, people are always like coming in your office, knocking your door. You don't have like a second to think. I would schedule Zoom meetings with yourself. Okay, then you're in a meeting. Okay, you tell someone I'm in a meeting. You're literally having coffee with yourself, but people are not going to interrupt your meeting. Just have a Zoom meeting with yourself. Like, take those 5-10 minutes. Again, the goal is that we are going to be able to stay in the long run. And anytime we're like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. When we don't do it, then we end up crashing. And then our burnout level goes from like 10 or 15 to a 30 and a 40. And suddenly every little thing is bothering you about your company. And that's because you don't really have that time for yourself. So again, like, try to find it in your routine. Set alarms. By the way, I can't even tell you my phone is literally like all day. I'm setting alarms. I'm setting alarms to call people. I'm setting alarms to text someone. I'm setting alarms to like go on a walk. You know what I mean? Like, drink coffee if you need to do that. Like, I used to set alarms to like be patient with my children. You could like for anything. Really, really do not underestimate. The alarms could be going off all day, not just calendaring, because calendaring does not go off in a significant way. Like, you get a little beep that you ignore, but literally have alarms going off for the things that are important. If it needs to happen, make sure it happens. And do it. Invest maybe in a new skill. By COVID, that I would say was a really big turning point for me because I looked around and I saw a lot of people struggling, a lot of people not knowing what to do with their programs. They're like, and I just decided, I'm like, as everybody like struggles to find out what's going to be next, I'm going to spend my time in professional development. And I literally threw myself into my workshops, into developing courses. Like, this is what I was doing. And I felt like I don't want to lose 6 months. Invest in skills, invest in, take the time to learn something. You want to learn something related to your work. If that gives you an energy, do that. If you want to learn a new language, it doesn't matter what it is, but like, and also invest in helping others. Make a meal for someone who needs it. Like, just something that's it's not just about you. And all those things are really going to like help with little self-care, the little things. You're not just focused on you and your bad state, just giving to other people, investing in yourself. It's really going to matter. The next thing I want to share, and this is really, really important, and it's called managing up. And I know a lot of people have heard that term before. You have a boss that's frustrating you, you're not sure what to do, but managing up is like, bosses and managers are not mind readers. They don't know that you want more work. They don't know that you're burnt out. They don't know you're feeling neglected. They don't know these things. If there's too much work on your plate and the work is endless, schedule a meeting with them and say, could we talk about this? I'm really feeling like my work is endless. Like, how can we restructure my day that I'm able to have manageable work? If you need appreciation from your boss, say, would you have time to review? I would love to get some mid-year review and see how you're doing. I would love to just get feedback from you and see where I can improve. Just ask. Like, I know you want it and it seems silly, but like, no one is mind readers. I mean, it's right. Like, you have to ask them for what you want. And if you want to know a growth plan and you want to know where you're going to be in this company in a year or 2 or 3 years, ask for a growth plan. You want a raise? Ask for a raise. Like, they're probably not going to come over to you and be like, oh, you've been doing such good work, I'm just going to give you a raise. No one does that. Some companies do that. But just ask for the things that you want, and you feel so much better after. Like, stop waiting for, like, I can't believe they didn't notice how much work I did. If you just gave extra time and you did something huge for your company, they should know. And if they didn't properly acknowledge it, you should schedule a meeting and say, I just want to let you know, I know we both had this conference, and that I gave, an extra 50 hours of my time for this. And I do appreciate that you got me a $25 Starbucks card, but I want you to know, still feeling resentful about that. Like, that didn't seem like acknowledgement, showing how much work I really put in. Like, you have to do this, because otherwise you're going to be walking around, and every time you drink those 5 Starbucks, you're going to feel like a piece of garbage, because that wasn't appropriate things. Like, it wasn't okay. And they did that, and they didn't think. And maybe they even gave that to the people that volunteered for an hour, also got the $25 gift card. And you're like, I literally gave 50 extra hours. Like, you have to share these things, because next year when there's another conference, guess who will not be caring for that? You. Because you're not going to do this. Some people need gifts. Some people need acknowledgement. Some people, whatever you need, whatever your love languages are, just ask for that. They're not going to know. So these are just 3 ideas for you. And I want to share now, if anyone here does have staff, I am going to share an idea for you. If you're familiar with the OKR system, I speak about this a lot. This is one of the main things that I do for companies. Is OKR is a management system. It's used by Google, Netflix, Walmart, Target, lots of companies. Okay, it's a goal setting system which helps employees to know exactly what they need to do to be successful every single week. And when they come to work every Monday, they know, I need to call 10 new clients. I need to meet with 5 prospective clients. I need to file 10 papers. Whatever they need to do that week, they know exactly what they need to do. What the OKR system does is it helps, number one, your staff to know exactly what they need to do to be successful. You mean you're going to be happy with me if I do this? Yes. If you do all this, you can go to Hawaii after you finish every week. This is all we're expecting from you. And if you're not doing this, so let's talk about it, because we need you in your job every week to call 10 people. And if you're not calling 10 people, by the way, I did a different webinar, if you've seen it, how to get employees to quit before you fire them. That is using this system, because after 2 or 3 weeks of checking in with your employee and you're like, so how is it going? I see that you were supposed to call 10 people and it's like the 3rd week and you only called 1. How's that going? And they're like, yeah. And you see, and it's like, is this the right job? Like, can we fix your job to make sure you're in the right role? Like, you possibly are in the wrong role. Like, you're in sales and you hate sales. When OKRs are put into a company, everybody's happy. Staff know exactly what they need to do to be successful. The employees know what to expect from the staff. It's so healthy. And a lot of times when I meet, with, it's funny because I also teach innovation, a lot of times people will come to me for the innovation challenges, but it's like, really, there's a management issue and people are just getting like all these different expectations. And then I'm sure you've heard of the flavor of the month, right? When someone will come in and say, okay, we're doing something else now. And you're like, no, but we're doing this project. And the newest project is just like laid on the table. And it's not, and you're like, well, how much? There's no more of that. We've decided we are so clear on what we're accomplishing in this company. I help people get super clear on what our objective is. If I'm starting my own, whatever you're doing, we get super clear on the goal. We get super clear on what everyone's doing every week on those key efforts, those key results. And then everybody is so safe and healthy. Because, burnout is so much lower because people know, just do this. Your job is not this. Call 10 people this week, meet with 5 clients, prepare 10 presentations, whatever they need to do. Just do this, and then you're successful. And if there's a question, there's a conversation because you're meeting with your manager every single week. There's no neglect. People understand where the work is challenging, but it's not crazy. Using this system, it's just amazing. It helps just for everything. Like, again, if you're interested in this, please be in touch. It's like, I'm super passionate about it. And like, I honestly, like, I serve as your accountability partner. Like, I help you sometimes if I'm working one-on-one, I work with someone and I'm like checking in every single week. And what's amazing is that like we have a whole system it's very simple, actually. Everything I do is simple. But we track on Google Sheets. Okay. And everyone knows. So if you've called your 10 people, your little box turns green. It's green. And if you've done one, it's red. And I actually met with a lady, one of my clients this week, and she said to me, she had almost all green, very rare. It's very hard to do it because it's like a little bit pushing yourself. And I said, wow, it's amazing. And she said, you know what she said to me? She said, Meira, I knew if I was going to show up, like, I'm paying you, okay? Like, I am not showing up with reds. And then she said, you know what was so sad? Before this, I would have showed up with reds for myself. But here, we have a system where the entire company, we're tracking publicly. Everyone knows everyone's success. We're all cheering each other on. We all know who greens. We all know who have their reds. We all know who needs help. We all know how to help them. It's an amazing, amazing system. And if people think it's hard to implement this, it's so not hard. Like, I do it so simply because I believe everything has to be simple in order to be, again, quick and fast. People think it's expensive to learn. It's so not. Like, it's just a manageable system that once you do this, I help you set it up. Once you're good to go, I take a step back and you're good. And people think it takes so much time to learn. It doesn't take a lot of time at all. It's really simple. And you can use this to give your employees clarity on how to spend their time. You could use it really to basically reach any type of goal that you need to. Like, literally, you could use OKRs for any type. I mean, honestly, like, it could be used for weight loss. It could be anything in the business sense and in the personal sense. It's amazing. It's used to create a psychologically safe work environment that everybody knows exactly what they need to do to be successful. And it's used to avoid burnout. So what did I say we're going to accomplish today? Okay, we're going to take a burnout assessment. You'll learn about 3 different types of burnout. And I'm going to teach you about a tool that can positively impact your company. So if you want to talk further, let's connect. I'm going to stay on now for questions. But I really want to hear about like your real burnout challenges, and let's decide on a custom game plan for you, because it could be that all you need is an implementation of OKRs and you're going to be in a different place. Like, my goal is to help teams achieve results as quickly as possible. So thank you for having me here. I'm going to stop sharing my slides. Feel free again to turn on. I know a lot of people are off the screen or whatever, but feel free to turn on, like, share. Anyone have any questions, thoughts, reflections? If I missed something, if I didn't address something that you had written maybe in the anonymous thing, or if you want to ask for a friend, however you want to do it, but I'm here.
Can I ask just one question? Can you either put up or send out the original definition of burnout that you had?
Of course. I'm going to share my screens again. Sorry, go to the beginning.
It's like
Exhaustion of physical or emotional strength or motivation. Okay, so either exhaustion of physical, exhaustion of emotional strength, or exhaustion of motivation, usually because of prolonged stress or frustration.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. Who else? How can I help you?
And thank you for the OKR. I think that's amazing. Even not in a team, even even for an individual. It's
Yeah, so it's funny. I use it for teams, but I actually do a lot of one-on-one coaching, and I just okay with one person, and it's amazing because, like, especially if someone doesn't have a coach, like I'm become their coach, and I'm also become their accountability partner. So every week when we meet, like, so how's those 10 calls going? So it's like, and and I'm telling you, the night before, everybody's hustling. They're like, I know I'm meeting Meira on Monday, whatever it is. Like, they will not, they're the whole day because they're not showing up and didn't do any work. Now, if we were meeting, right? Like, okay, it was a hard week. Everyone's very generous for themselves, giving like excuses, right? But like when you have an accountability partner, we set it up. Remember, I didn't pick it for them. I guided them to choose, get really clear on what they want to accomplish. Do you want to get new clients? Do you want to retain clients? Do you want to, and people are picking ambitious goals. We're talking people are going from 10 clients to 50. We're talking people are going from like, $1 million a year to $5 million a year. It doesn't matter what the goal are, as long as and I say to them, well, what do you think you need to do to get new clients? Well, I probably need to reach out to, and I'm having them literally could be calling 10, 20, as many people as they think that's healthy for them. I don't set those numbers. I set it together. Like, I'm not going to tell them to do 100 calls. Like, that's crazy. And I tell them do something manageable because don't forget, we're going to have to do this every single week. And, I'm helping somebody who wants to go into, start investing in real estate. They have a great job and they want to do something on the side. It doesn't matter, whether it's getting a new client or bringing in more money. When you have that accountability partner, and it's like the amount, it's amazing. Like, I've been working with this one lady just for a month, and she's already like, oh, I'm already in talks with 1 or 2 people. I can't even believe this. We're working on like getting new clients. And she's already speaking with 2 people who she's going to start training to open up branches of her company. Because these different phone calls that she's making has just led her to so many different places that she's like never would have thought of it. It's like the investment is so silly. Like when you pay money, of course, but like every new client, you're like, as soon as you close a client, you've made it all back. You know what I mean? So like, it's really, the system just works. It works every time. If someone sticks with the system, it works. I've used it myself. I brought it to organizations. I've used it. Like, it just works if you do it right. And it's not hard to do. It's literally like, we're tracking Google Sheets. We're meeting every week. It's not hard. Call 5 people. It's very simple. Call 10 people, meet with 4 people, go to one location and introduce yourself. Like, simple things, but I'm going to make you hustle. So I'm the I don't know how to say that, but I make people hustle is basically what I'm doing. In a way that, but I'm helping to drive the things that they want. Like, nothing coming from me. That's the thing. I'm objective. So, it's funny. I'm also working with schools now also. And like, when you come in, like, everyone has this bias. I don't have a bias. Like, I don't care if you call people every week. I don't care if I'm listening to you. I'm going to guide you. I'm going to encourage you to take the next steps, but it doesn't have to be like, it's not scary because I'm doing it at your pace with you. But again, because you know that we're going to meet, you're going to hustle each week to get it done. What type of work are you in?
fundraising.
Oh, so perfect. Yes, I've done much of that.
Yeah,
So
but I've done it. I've done 45 years. So
you're ahead of me. I'm only at like, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20, but it's, but imagine if you did this for fundraising, right? So you have it, and I don't know if it's just you or a team, but when you set on a goal, right? And let's say, I'm going to make this up. Okay. Last year goal was $100,000. Now you want to make $200,000. It doesn't matter. So we're going to get clear on that. Do you want one $200,000 donation? Do you want, right, like 100, 2,000, whatever the math is, okay? Like, what do you want to do? And once we get clear on that, on what we're going to set out, okay, so what do you need to do every week to do that, right? Are you calling people? Are you having meetings? Are you sending out emails? Are you doing LinkedIn posts? I don't know what it means to you. And each person will have a custom plan, but like, this works. That, like, it's amazing because especially with fundraising, like, you just have somebody helping you. I mean, obviously I have fundraising experience, so like that's I'm in that field, but like, I'm helping with people with things like I have no idea about. It doesn't matter. I don't care what it is because I'm going to work with you. But for fundraising specifically, if you have this goal in mind, you set out the steps. And every week when you come to the office on Monday morning, there's no like, let me look for my list again. Maybe I should make a phone call. Like, you get there Monday morning. I got to call 10 people this week. Like, and that means the week before, you better know who you're calling. Like, you're already setting up the names from the week before because next week you have to call them. Like, everything's laid out. There's no more like, what am I doing today? There's no more. Because like, we've thought this through and you know exactly what you need to do every single day. So it's really fascinating, and holds people accountable in a way that's, which is something that they want. Like for people that want to reach goals, reach goals and hit them, like this is the best system there is. It's so simple.
No, I want to break them.
You want to what?
I want to break them.
What does that mean?
No, I want to go well beyond the goal. I want to set a reasonable goal, but I want to go well beyond it.
So let's just set a higher goal.
Yeah.
But if we get clear, that's the thing is setting a goal and you're like, I really want to get more. Like, then you're just like, it's scary to set a goal, right? Because then either we're a failure or we're a success. But when you set the goal, if you don't set the goal high, it's hard to reach it. It's really hard. I mean, sometimes, you see these campaigns, they're going to raise $100,000 and they raise $120,000. Half those campaigns are fake. We all know how they're set up. Like, they're half them from before. Like, it's okay, whatever. So, but if you have a goal, you set an ambitious goal and you were at 100, now you're going to 200, you have to change a lot of things about the way you work. And that's what I'm having to do. If anyone's familiar with the book 10X is.
No, I like the point that you were making about not just setting the goal, but then breaking it down. I came up with something on I travel. So I'm in Israel and I travel. I just got back from Australia and I actually go to Chicago and I go to New York and Florida. So you get to see the world, inside of businesses and inside of homes and inside of synagogues. But that's about it. I found that if you give people an opportunity that brand it in some way of sponsoring. We happen to feed people. We give out food baskets to 10,000 families every single week. So I started asking people to sponsor a family for a food basket for a year or a child in our children's center and talking about all the other things, but focusing on that. And I like the idea of how many more of these sponsorships do I want to get this week?
Right. Breaking it down for sure. And also the plan's different, right? And because I have some of this innovation training, right? Like I have different ways of thinking. So you might want to sell it for a year package. There's other ways to sell it also. And some people it might talk to, right? So just looking at different ways, but the system is really amazing. But let's reach out after because it could be that this is the right system for you. Yeah. Anyone else have anything they want to share or ask in our last 2 minutes? And again, I could be reached at Meira Spivak at Gmail or through my website, meiraspivak.com. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so I'll stay on for another minute. I don't have any questions, but thank you for being here.